Welcome to Pampas and Pencils. This is Galee, owner of Pampas Gal. This is Orlandice.
Owner of Interiors on Point and Top Contracting.
And we have Wilson today. Wilson is an entrepreneur and a commercial real estate investor.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you, Wilson.
I'm so stoked to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for being our first guest.
This is episode 5, Knowing You, Your Environment, and Your Place in It.
So yeah, let's hang out, grab a coffee, and let's chat. So we have Wilson. He's our first guest. We're so excited to have you, Wilson. Wilson, tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do, what's your story?
Sure, thanks for having me. So my name is Wilson Wong, born here in Edmonton, and I started selling Cutco knives when I was 18 years old. I'm going to age myself right now. I'm 32 now, so I've been doing it for 14 years. And from 18 to 32, I learned a whole bunch about sales and entrepreneurship. So not only am I continuing to sell Cutco at scale, I have a coffee company called Crew Orient Coffee. I wrote a book called Fun is My Favorite F Word. I'm the director of a charity called Front Row Foundation here in Canada. And dabble in commercial real estate. That's the side hustle.
Wow.
Wilson does a lot.
I'm just being myself for a living.
But he also has a lot of fun. He created a book called F is Your Favorite. Fun is your favorite F word.
Fun is my favorite F word, and it's a book on how to monetize your fun, because I feel like a lot of people, it's just another fancy way of saying, how do you do what you love, but also make money?
Yeah.
Or do what you love, never work another day in your life. But I was like, okay, well, I want to do what I want to do, but I want to have fun, but I also want to make them fat stacks, okay?
Oh, 100%.
We about that.
Yeah. And I heard someone told me, if doing what you love, if it's fun, keep doing it. But if it's not fun no more, it's time to throw in the towel.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
My rebuttal is, when it's not fun, see how far you can go until you decide to throw in the towel. Because I feel like you can have your Cinderella story of the fun part, but then if it's not fun, that's actually when you want to double down on it to see if it's something that you want to stick it out.
That's true.
Yeah, because if you give up, it just doesn't make sense, because you already put in the time, effort, and energy into it. So before you came, me and Galee were talking about, how long have you been doing Cutco for? I was like, 14 minus 3. It's like, what does that even mean? It's like, well, I took 3 years off doing knife sales, and I did a job that was a 9 to 5, right? So I worked at like a corporate commercial bank, corporate insurance company, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 years, because if I did 8 months and quit, it didn't make sense, because I didn't actually put in my time of what a stable job is. So you go from a job when you're 18, absolute freedom, to absolute stability, and now I'm somewhere in between where I have a better schedule, but I still don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Which is great. I think that's why I love entrepreneurship too, because there's no day's ever the same, and it's not boring.
And you're not that strict 9 to 5. You can make your own hours, but the only thing is you just have to be you have to put boundaries for yourself. You have to be very disciplined, I find. Yeah.
Relatively disciplined.
Yeah. So let's get into business. Like, what's new and exciting? We like to share something new that is happening with
all of our businesses.
Yeah. So what's really exciting?
This
for
is also where you can plug.
Who am I plugging? Cool. So actually, the most exciting thing is right now is I'm hiring my first assistant.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she is one of my coach's assistant. So in Cutco, one of my coaches, she's the #1 ranked sales Cutco in all of Canada, in the history of Canada. So she's #1. And I hired her, so I pay a percentage of my entire commissions to her, no matter what, for the next 5 years. Even if I stop being a part of her team, I'm locked into the contract, because the value that she gives me is like incredible. So she's like, hey Wilson, why don't you use Evelyn? I'm like, all right, let's do it. And this was last year in December, and I was humming and hawing, and I was like, I gotta do it. I just gotta do it. And our national sales manager, she's like, dude, hire somebody and then you'll find work for them. Like, commit financially, because it's not about the money, it's about finding work for somebody to save you up more time. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I texted Evelyn, and then we had a great chat, and she's like, I'm in. So today is the day where we get to do the onboarding, and I save maybe about 10 hours a week now.
Congratulations.
Buy that back.
And you can put that hours into your, like, we were just talking about this last episode, it's just building yourself too, right? Because you do need that time for yourself and before you go crazy. Yeah.
I'm hiring Evelyn so I can buy back 10 hours of sleep a week. So
That's what the hours are coming back to self-care.
Right? It's all self-care at that point.
How about you, Galee? What's new?
What is new in my business? I started to delegate the last couple weeks. So I have some family and I have some friends who are helping me with doing some back-end work so that I can sleep as well. I got a massage yesterday, and then I also get to be more hands-on with dealing with the customer-facing, like, you know, responding to my Instagram messages, responding to emails, and like being timely on those. So yeah, I do feel like I have a little bit more control this week with my time.
Amazing.
How about you?
So like last episode I touched that we are going to be doing a series of showcasing our projects with top contracting called the Progress. So we are going to come out with our first video, and we are going to also launch that onto YouTube too. So YouTubers can see that, and also on all three of our business, Top Contracting, Interiors on Point, and Tatum Cabinets. You guys can see the videos there, and you kind of see the progress. It's kind of cool. I just went on site. Cabinets are in.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. It's going so fast, the transformation, and it's really exciting. Clients are so pumped.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's what they don't tell you in entrepreneurship. It's like you're so stoked for cabinets.
I
It's
know.
like, oh my god, I got new cabinets that are in. The timeline is working.
Or even the paint. Wow, the paint. Like just the little. It makes, like, you know, the progress is like moving forward.
Yeah.
Even if you just saw like a tape on the edge. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain it.
the planning process is now turning into the real life,
Oh yeah.
like visual execution.
Yeah, it's not just all talk anymore.
Yeah.
It's, like,
It's
this is real.
happening.
It's
This
real.
is real.
Yeah. So
So yeah, what we want to also, something that we're trying to do in our podcast is affirmations. Let's all state an affirmation that we have for the week, whether it be for the week or for the month, whatever you want it to be. And Orlandice, do you want to start?
okay, so I'm gonna continue. I am focused because I am focused. I feel that being thrown off track is so easy, and we're going into a time of a boom. I feel it, and we need to stay focused. In order for us to be focused, it starts with us and trying to, you know, turn to ways to like clear our minds. So like whether it's going to modern gravity, which thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah, I took her to the float.
Oh my gosh.
It was fun. It was what we needed.
Or go for a walk, or just something that I could really ground myself to stay focused. One person was like, do a structure routine too. That helps too with being focused. It is a little hard when you do have like kids, but I feel that if I were to stick to like a routine or try to stick to a routine, that might help. And then running. My cousin told me, she's like, running helps wonders. It just like you release all these endorphins and stuff, and then you could go back to work and you're still clear-headed and focused.
I think it's also nice for like exercising in general. You get to like pull your brain into just focusing on the current task, which is not work related.
Yeah.
And then you get to escape a little bit.
Well, one thing that I've struggled the past few weeks was creative block. And I know I've talked to you about it. I think I've touched a little bit about it. We all go through it. And when you go through it, it's just like you get so frustrated with yourself because you can't pump out these creative juices or move yourself and you just at this block. But you need to, I think it's like kind of like a ways of body telling you like to slow down and take care of yourself. And Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I can't even imagine because I mean I think slowly I'll have to get to that point when I'm starting to expand my wedding side of my business because now creativity is on demand. Like your clients expecting creativity to be the service that you're providing.
Oh yeah.
So
I get frustrated. I look at it, and I'm being a perfectionist. I'll look at the design and I'm like, okay, this is not working. And I'll get so mad
and you don't know why.
And I'm like, I need to step away before like I go crazy.
Take a nap and then come back. Wilson, do you have an affirmation?
Yeah, I'm grateful. Thank you for having me. It's one of those things where it's a pleasant surprise, but it's very humbling to have someone like you guys just invite me and just so I can talk. Yeah. Because I like listening to myself talk. Duh.
We love that you're here.
Yeah. I think when I wanted to like ask you, I was like, Wilson would be like the perfect person to have on this podcast because you were doing so many different things, and I think you just come from such a you have so many different pillars to pull knowledge from, and I just like picking your brain all the time.
Thank you. I'm receiving. Thank you. Talk about this.
I'm giving you love.
How about you?
How's yours?
My affirmation, I think I really want to remind myself that I am capable of managing a team. Because there's definitely an insecurity of mine where I sometimes think like, oh well, I'm not good at managing a team, or like that people might not vibe with me, or like I don't know, maybe it's an empath problem where I'm overthinking my social interactions with people when I should just be like objective with my team and like this is what needs to be done, blah 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 blah. So I kind of like mix my emotions with objectivity when it comes to business and team. So I think right now I don't really have too many people working with me, but like at the same time it also is the hindrance to why I'm not hiring more people to work on my team. So I just want to remind myself that, I can manage a team and we can create something really beautiful together and expand the business.
I find the more that you do that and the more you delegate and you feel more comfortable, it will come.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially when you're up and holding all the hats all at once for so long. You're like, no, I'll do it. No, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I was like, which hat do I want to give up to get someone else to do it? You know? So, yeah. I guess Wilson, since you have an assistant this week.
Just for the week. That's what I
you hired this
1 week. Onboarding, and then that's it. You're done.
How did you decide how you're going to delegate work?
So you got to do everything you hate in the business, and you also have to do everything you love in the business, and everything you hate, you know how to do it. You know how to. You can delegate it, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's a book called The E-Myth where it's about relegation versus delegation. Relegations being the ability to know and understand everything and then pass it on to somebody, because if that person leaves your business, right, because they're not attached to it, you have to go back into it. So it almost forces you to be a really good coach, good mentor for your business, for that assistant or for that employee that you end up hiring.
What's the book called again?
The E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Ooh.
It's a really good book.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not fully finished it, but it's good for, it's primarily for small business owners who want to grow into a big business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Definitely I want to pick it up maybe.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the...
Yeah, relegation is really important because I know how to make the phone calls. I love talking to people. I love people. Yeah. I do. But if you're telling me to do an Excel spreadsheet... Do I know how to do it? I do it so good. Yeah. So good.
Oh my
But if you want me to do it, no.
Yeah.
No.
I hate putting and inputting data. I just hate data. I love reading data and polling and analyzing, but if you told me to take a bunch of information and now spread it onto a spreadsheet so that's organized, I freaking hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
You love it?
That's your designer brain.
Yeah. Well, because for top contracting, there's two of us, so I'm the computer person out of the two. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny though? I feel like the more that I'm a computer person, the more I'm like, I know how to do this now. Now, like, I want someone else to do it because I'm too late. Like, I get bored really easily. Like, I
Yeah.
need to like have new things that I'm learning and trying to fix and learn. So once I've learned something and I understand it to the T, I'm like, all right, I don't really want to do this anymore.
I feel like it's just about income generating activities. Because if I'm on a spreadsheet, I'm not making phone calls. If I'm not making phone calls, I'm not acquiring new clients. If I'm not getting new clients, I don't close.
I love
So
that.
that's really it. It's like if you're gonna delegate, relegate, source it out, make sure it's not affecting your income generating activities.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good mindset to have.
Yeah.
So you always want to be the person who is doing the income generating activity, or would you possibly still delegate income generating activities?
Depends. Technically, we're all solopreneurs, right? And I do everything from my taxes to the bookkeeping to the closing to the sales cycle to the whole thing, right? And I know my front end. I am my own front end as much as I'm my own back end. I think if you're more of an introvert extrovert or an introvert, but you have a grandiose business idea, you should be in the back end because that generates income for you, whatever that may be. But for me, I'm a people person. I need to be rubbing elbows, kissing babies, shaking hands.
Yeah.
And that's where I get my income. And then everything else is like, nah, spreadsheets, give it out to somebody else.
Yeah.
I like that you touched on introvert and extrovert, because I've actually learned that I think I'm an introvert, but I push myself to be an extrovert, especially when it comes to clients and getting ourselves out there, like being on a podcast and taking pictures and being like the face of like the companies. You put yourself out there, and it's kind of more intimidating for a introvert, but you push your limits to be an extrovert. That's how do you find it?
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But I'm also reading a book right now. It talks about how hypersensitive people, typically sometimes people say like hypersensitive people are mistaken as introverts, because just because you're a sensitive person doesn't mean you're an introvert.
Yeah.
You might act like an introvert. So I don't think I'm an introvert now, but I've been telling people I'm an introvert, but I do think I'm hypersensitive. So because I'm hypersensitive, I'm more inner focused, and I always have to like kind of watch my anxiety and like how the environment's affecting me.
Yes.
Which makes me have introvert qualities. But I love talking to people. Like I love being in environments where like there's people giving me energy. So I don't know if I'm introvert, extrovert, to be honest, like as of right now in this moment. But after I finish reading the book, I can tell you.
I would like to have that with you. And your book. Yeah, no, it's funny that she brought. We're going completely off topic,
Oh, no,
but I love that because she noticed that in me. She's like, "You're an what did she say?
HSP.
HSP." I was like, "What is that?" She's like, "You are totally an HSP," and it's kind of cool that the psychology behind it, because I'm totally a high sensitive person. Like when I'm around, I could suck all the energy, and I drive off that energy, and I love that energy, but sometimes I like to step back because I get very intimidated. And if I get very high sensitive, then that's when like, okay, Orlandice's going into her hole, because I need to like recruit up.
Yeah. It's a cup. Like if it's overfilled, then you're like screaming in the inside.
Don't get a cup, get a pitcher. That's what you do. The cup's pretty small.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about like getting ourselves out there, and especially in what we do in the industry, our topic today is knowing you, your environment, and your place in it.
Cutco was your first job, right? And it's in sales. Sales is a very good like skill set that I think every entrepreneur needs. When you first took on your Cutco job, like what was hard about it, and like how did you find ways to like stand out or overcome those obstacles?
What was hard about it? Oh man, I sucked at sales.
Yeah?
I was good at talking, but I had no guidance on what sales was. And I remember going through a sales training program. This is back in the day when it wasn't like on Zoom or anything. You had to go there, suit it up, and you're learning how to sell knives, and you're like, man, this is the weirdest job of all time. But the only reason why I got the job is because I was 17 turning 18, and I just got my driver's, and what better way to borrow mom's car than to get a sales job? Because I'm like, I don't want a bus. Mom, let me get the car, right? So I sold her on the ideology of what I wanted. So technically, I was already doing sales prior to actually getting trained and like understanding the workflow of sales.
Yeah.
So 2 things you need to succeed in sales. It's like my mantra: enthusiasm and positivity. That's all you need.
That's
So
true.
everything else can be coached and guided, and you buy a course on it, whatever. But if you have positivity and enthusiasm, you'll win 100% of the time. And that was like the biggest thing for me, was like, okay, cool. I'm selling a knife. I touched a cup. Imagine this is a knife. Okay. And that was it. I remember, so we have something called a fast start, where it's a fast start. Like, how hard can you go? How many phone calls can you make? Go, 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 go. My first weekend, I went 1 in 4. So I had a 25% closing ratio with an average order size of $100. Like, it was terrible, right? Then you go into like day 4 training, right? Called advanced training 1. And then I eventually sold like a couple grand after like a few days. And then advanced training 2, I did it. And, you know, in 10 days, I sold about like $6,000 worth of knives. And you're like, to me, that was a lot. And then there's the comparative side where like you have people crushing their fast start, doing 10,000, 15,000. And I was like, why aren't people buying my knives? What happened? And that's when you start learning about competition. You're like, oh my God, why is this guy like crushing sales? Is it like, and then you learn about what network is, right? And then you learn about what's your closing statements, what's your referral statements, or your scripts. And eventually I adopted those scripts and internalized them and got better and better and better, because I thought you can just show up. Now, showing up is half the battle. Having positivity and enthusiasm, that's another portion of the battle, because if they like you, they're going to buy from you. But then if you don't have the skill set to execute on the close, they'll never buy from you because you don't know how to do it.
When you saw yourself at 6,000, you're like, this is great, cool, I'm making so much money. But then like you're hit with people making 15K. What was a visible, concrete, like tangible skill that you're like, I'm missing this? And then how did you get from that point to, you know, competing? I guess is it you can kind of see it as a competition.
100% competing. When you're young and naive and you're 18, the first thing that comes up is envy.
Ego.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
Like, wow, this guy looks like a nerd. How is he selling more than me? Do I have to like slick my hair back? Like, I was 18 and I'm Asian, so I have no facial hair, so I already was like baby face.
I gotta grow some hair.
Right? Yeah, it was more internalizing the skill set. When it took me 2 years to figure it out. Like, I stuck it out because I love the people. Like, generally with sales jobs, you do it for the people, right? And I was lucky enough that I discovered it at an early age, so I still live at home. I don't have to worry about the money, live in the basement. It's great. So if I knew all my needs are taken care of, like my immediate needs, then it's about getting better skill set wise. And what I learned is I needed to learn 2 things. I needed to learn the close, like memorize it, and I needed to learn the referral approach and memorize it. Because I kept looking at it, and I kept looking at it when I'm doing my close, and there's no confidence. Like, how do you close confidently if you can't internalize the script and make it your own? And like, you don't need to have your twist and take on it. You just have to have your own enunciation and the way you articulate the close. That's what I was missing. It took me 2 years to figure it out because the ego was always in the way. The ego was like, oh, I'll do it myself. I'll do it in my own way. And I mean, Cutco is a $300 million company. They've been doing something right. But why am I not following the program? And that was it. They had a great program, great sales training. Why wasn't I following the program? And when you're 18, you're like, you can do anything. And then when you finally like memorize the close and memorize the referral approach, you're like, oh my God, why didn't I do this 2 years earlier? I could have sold way more.
So the more that you got into the industry and you branched off into real estate, how did you kind of define yourself and your own brand to stick out from the competition? Because going into real estate, man, it's a cutthroat. Like, I know even in the design industry, I've noticed it is a cutthroat industry out there. So just trying to define yourself and your own brand and stick out.
Well, it's not tricky. It's really interesting because I'm not a commercial real estate agent or residential agent. I'm just a guy who had a little bit of extra cash and I wanted to like buy something, right?
Okay, cool.
And what I learned about like selling knives and what I learned about commercial real estate is conviction. So I have product conviction in Cutco. Like, I believe everyone in the world should have at least one Cutco knife in their kitchen. Like I embody it.
What is product conviction?
Yeah, product conviction is the absolute belief that it's the absolute belief in whatever you're selling. So if you're selling your services, if you're selling a physical product, you need to believe it's going to help people. It's not about the money at that point. It's about, can you help people with this? Whether it's a MLM, physical product, oh my gosh, go to Shoppers Drug Mart, anything in there, there's product conviction behind the people that actually thought of the idea. So when it came to commercial real estate and investing in the idea of owning a building, how convicted are you? Because now it's not monopoly money anymore. It's real hard cash that you saved up over, 10 years, at least for myself. And if it goes, all the way to zero, I'm living at home till I'm like 45. So it's like, so you have to have absolute conviction, because if you don't believe that the strategy is going to work, why would you ever execute on it?
Oh, I love that.
110% believe in.
You have
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
because that way it deflects all the naysayers and all the external noise, because you did your due diligence, you did all the market research. Like, now it's your turn to execute.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Only when it gets executed, then people realize, oh my God, it was a great idea.
That is so true, because Galee and I, we believe and we have passion in art, like product or design. Like we embody that passion. So when we talk to clients and be like, hey, well, let's do this and this, it drives that energy to that other client, because we are, I guess, that's the product
You have conviction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
And then anyone, like,
Yeah.
I like how you're saying, like, the naysayers, if anyone were to give you an objection, be like, well, are you sure you're worth this much, for example?
Yeah.
Then you can be like, yeah, I'll tell you why. This is exactly where the values come in.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you have more confidence in conveying your services and your product.
Yeah, whatever you could do in a day, let's say, or in an hour, half an hour, they're paying you for your 10 years of experience, which is paying you for your 5 years of experience. That's what they're paying that fee for, or whatever you're charging. It's not for the immediate gratification. It's the skills that you learn over a long period of time. Because what I'm learning now is, because I have my clothes memorized. Okay, so Cutco, let's say it's a $100 knife, right? Back in the day, it took me an hour to sell $100, right? Now it takes me 5 minutes to sell $100. So I scaled back my time for the same amount of revenue being generated. And that's because it took me, 14 years to build up that skill. So now if you actually take that time, 5 minutes to sell a knife, what if I actually took an hour, but with more clients in between? Because I know my close is going to be 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So now you can see where my income starts. It's almost like a hockey stick, where it's like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it's like accelerated growth.
I love the, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're at
Check.
we're at the oh my God section.
Before we get to that check.
Yeah. It's a hockey stick. It's not like a bell curve or anything. It's a hockey stick. If you're on the downward trajectory, you're in a good place.
That's such a Canadian reference.
Yeah.
What would you say defines the success for you personally? And what does it take to be successful for you?
Galee prepped me for this question, because this was the hardest one out of all of them, because success is so subjective,
Yes.
right? Is it a new car? Is it a house? Is it what is it?
Is it fame? Yeah.
Success to me is the ability to choose to work. Like, if I want to work, I'm going to work. If I don't want to work, I don't need to work. Whereas a lot of people work because they have to. Like, they're locked in, whether they call it the rat race, or they're locked in because they had some poor financial choices. I think the ability to work so you don't have to work, with the choice of working, I know it's like a big circle, that's what defines success to me. Like, I can work technically. Like, are we getting paid right now sitting here talking? Maybe not, right? But at the same time, I know that the public accountability, being on YouTube and putting myself out there, that's how I get paid, right? So is that work? Well, it depends. Like, I love talking to people, and I'm not really working because I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
But then people drive off of that fun. And if it's fun, then to me, that's success.
Sometimes work doesn't feel like it's work.
Yeah, it feels like illegal, right? You're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
This is my life. Yeah.
I get to sleep in today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to put it in a phrase, success to me is the unlimited creative outcome.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
I love
success
that.
to me.
So we lost Orlandice here.
Yeah, she'll be right back, though.
She'll be
She'll be right
She'll
back.
be right back.
Yeah. You'll see her at the end.
Yeah, she had to go. She had to go run her 5K
Yep.
real early. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about competition.
Sure.
How would you describe competition in sales? Like, who is your competition? Would it be like other knife sellers or other knife stores? Or how do you kind of frame your mind in that?
Sure. So on a corporate side, like the sales rep side, the only person you're competing against, as cliche as it sounds, is yourself, right? How many phone calls are you making? Are you practicing your close? Are you practicing your scripts? And then are you being able to translate those scripts into sales? That's it. Like, you're just competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I guess on the external world, sure, we compare ourselves to the higher brands out there, like Henkel's and Wusthof and Shun knives, House of Knives here in Edmonton. Like, there's so many places where you can buy knives. You can buy knives from Canadian Tire, or you could buy like a $700 Japanese knife. It's completely up to you.
Yeah.
So understanding your competition, but not shutting them down or putting them down, is the number one way to create credibility for yourself, because everything is out there for a reason. The good stuff is out there and the bad stuff is out there, right? But the bad stuff, sometimes it's the good stuff because people don't know any better, and it's your job as a sales guy to be an educator.
Right.
That's it. Like, if you educate people and help them get what they want, not what you want them to buy, you'll win 100% of the time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then when it comes to competition, you're right. We have sales reps competing against each other in the corporate world. If you're the number one sales rep, it's more of like getting the status and the accolade. Hey, you're the number one sales rep in Canada or Alberta or wherever it may be. But you don't change as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just doing what you're going to do every single day over a long period of time.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 14 years. I better be better than the kid that did it for a month.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
fair.
So my coach, my mentor, she's been doing it for as long as I've been alive, you know?
Yeah.
She's been doing it for 28 years. I'm 32, so I
Wow.
was 4 years old when she started Cutco.
Wow. Lots of knowledge to pass down.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you can't beat them, join them. So that's why I hired the number one Cutco sales rep. Her name is Vonnie Fast, to be my mentor, my coach.
Yeah.
And that's it. So everything that she learned over the last 28 years, she gets to bestow on me in a faster amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's scalable in terms of time. Because
Yeah.
if you're going to do something, you could make the mistakes and learn the hard way, or you can buy back your time by hiring a coach. So whether the coach is free or the coach is, X dollar, you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Get a free coach or pay for it.
And I think that goes to the topic of like, know your place and know who you are and your place in it. Like from that from that example, you know that she's would you say 10 years ahead of you, or sorry?
She's been doing it for 28 years.
So
I'm 14.
when
so
you
14
started,
years. She's 14 years ahead.
Okay, so when you started, she was already 14 years ahead of you.
Correct.
Like, you need to have that awareness to be like, okay, she's 14 years ahead of me. There's value and there's knowledge there. Like, don't go and fight the shark if you're a small fish, right? Like, you have to have that awareness.
Yeah.
And not let your ego like.
I'm the algae fish attached to the shark that's sucking. It's like, oh, give me knowledge.
I love that. I just see a sea plankton like
Yeah.
on a whale. And if I'm-
Symbiosis. Oh, I went to science. I swear to God.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, competition is good. Competition allows you to be focused, driven, inspired. All the positive words you could ever think of. It's when you start internalizing it negatively, like, oh, I don't want her to be better than me, or I don't want him to sell more than me. Then you're looking at competition the wrong way.
The wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too much ego driven. It's not like bigger picture thinking.
Yeah. Cutco is a national brand. It's national, right? Is it
North American.
North American? So even though you're a sales rep like locally, I'm sure you do some traveling here and there for the company as well.
Sure.
But now you're doing coffee as well, and you're doing commercial investing. So how's the competition changed? How have you had to change your mindset? Because I'm sure the competition amongst local businesses, especially being a coffee producer, is going to be a little different than selling knives.
It's mostly the coffee company is based off sales. Everything sales related. I'm going to be the go-to guy. I'm going to be the guy who is not afraid to make phone calls, walk into an establishment and ask who the manager is to build a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than happy to talk to other people to do collaborative ideas or projects together. When it comes to the coffee side, because we're so new, it's almost very difficult for other coffee people to collaborate with other coffee people because it's so brand new. It's like this third wave of coffee, unheard of until the last couple of years, maybe half a decade. But in the
Wait, sorry, do you make sense? What do you
Sure.
mean by third wave of coffee?
Yeah, third wave coffee is when you have a local roastery like the Grizzler or Rogue Wave or Roasty here in the city,
Yeah.
and they import their own beans and then they personally roast their own stuff there. So
In
it's
the
not
store,
like
yeah.
the big box store. Like the first wave of coffee would be like Starbucks, Tim Hortons.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that trickle down effect of specialty, unique coffees around the world.
What's second wave then?
Second wave? I think there's no second wave. It's kind of like it's like Gen X, or was it? And then it goes to like boomer, or it's like boomers, then millennials, and it's like Gen Z, and then it goes to
Okay.
like whatever.
Okay.
It's one of those things.
Gotcha. So the waves is based off generation, you're saying?
it's a
That's,
generational thing.
that's the term. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to the coffee side of things, now the uniqueness about having unlimited creative potential, right, or outcomes is, well, when COVID happened, we had to pivot because we weren't able to open up a store.
Yeah.
So we decided to wholesale our coffee to breweries. So now we have 3 different beers across Alberta that has our coffee in it, and they got converted into a beer.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was up north was a Dog Island Brewery. Here in Edmonton was the Growlery, and up in Grand Prairie is Grain Bin. So those 3 companies did something with our coffee, and I realized, oh my gosh, it's the same thing as Cutco. I could sell it to you residentially, to mom and dad, or I could go B2B, and then they're not just buying, a 300-gram bag of
Yeah.
coffee. They're buying 25 pounds.
Yeah.
So the income is scalable. But the cool thing is the time at which it takes for you to close an account is the same as a residential sale.
Okay.
So
Okay, I see what you're
it
saying.
just makes sense. So
Yeah.
you could sell your arrangements for $75 to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or you could do a huge wedding for the same amount of time, effort, and energy.
And you have high profit margins.
yeah, then you have 100x, 10x, 20x, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I definitely I can relate to that because that's what I've started to see my business shift as well. Like you have 14 years of experience. I have 1.5 years in my business. So like I'm already starting to shift and adapt quickly because my product is primarily in retail first, and then now I'm shifting into wholesale to be able to supply boutiques. Even if they wanted to white label, there's an opportunity to potentially do that as well. So there's a lot of avenues within my business, and then now I'm expanding into weddings. So it's like there's like retail, wedding, wholesale, commercial. Working with Orlandice, she's like the interior designer that's going to pitch it to other clients, right? So many different avenues, and it's just figuring out where is my time best allocated to, like you said, like the most profitable outcome.
And you enjoy it too.
Yeah.
And
I actually really enjoy B2B way more than B2C.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just
Don't
like,
we all?
it's like easier to talk to. Like when I don't know, how would you describe it? Like what is a common ground of
B2B
B2B?
is like a club. It's like the unwritten rule. If you're a business and they're a business, they know.
Yeah.
They know the trials and tribulations and the ups and the downs, and if you have a great product and great service, they're going to use you like that because they don't have to think, they don't have to bat an eye, they don't have to look at their finances because it's already in their QuickBooks or whatever their accounting is, right? They're like, hey, we have this budget and we're going to spend this budget. Now most businesses that are larger, they already know what they're spending for the year, so all they're doing is reallocating that budget to you,
Right.
because you're providing them with exceptional sales and customer service.
Yeah.
But when you go to B2C, this is like the angle is off by 45 degrees. Do you actually have an arrangement that's 75 degrees? And you know what? White is beautiful, but do you have pink?
Yeah.
It's like, girl, it's $50. Just buy it. Like,
It's fair. That's true. That's true.
it's like, oh, what are you doing?
I mean, like to be fair, even to like right now, I'm experiencing wedding clients for the first time, right? And like you said, like they already have a budget allocated for florals. So really, I'm just trying to fit within that budget and create the dream and the look for them. And most of my brides they trust me with the process where they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, cool. Like we've seen your work. You handle it. We want to be as much hands off as
Yeah.
possible because we don't want to deal with the nitty gritty and the details, right?
Yeah.
So I love that because I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have full creative freedom to go and do
Yes.
however and whenever I want. And I just have to follow up with them just to keep them updated. And
Yeah.
that's it.
That's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best way to run the business. So
How did we meet again? I met you through an event at Brew and Bloom.
yeah, Brew and Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, Wilson, like he loves to talk to people. I'm like, this guy's a full of energy.
I'm
like,
just trying new things. That's it. Like that's my creative output is like, cool. You can have all these. I understand focus on one thing is so important, right?
Mhm.
You got to focus on your driving income factor, right? Whatever that is.
yeah.
But the only way you can have creative outlook is if you do different things. Like you can't just get stuck in your ways. Like I never thought I'd buy a building or start
Yeah.
a coffee company
Yeah.
or continue to sell Cutco for forever. But here I am now just being able to tell you different stories and different aspects of like how diversification of your portfolio, your sales portfolio or whatever that is.
You are your portfolio.
I'm just being me, and it's
Yeah.
cool because I'm not, I don't identify as what a Cutco guy or a real estate guy or a coffee guy.
Yeah.
I identify as Wilson, and if
Yeah.
you like me, buy stuff from me. If you don't, cool, buy
Yeah.
it from somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
it's chill.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I when people come up to me like, what do you do for work? I'm the same way where depending on like what their background is, like if I know that they're looking for a potential photographer, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
For like right in this moment. But then if I can sense that they also have a potential of benefiting from Pampas Gal, then I also tell them that I have an e-commerce store. But I do have to really craft that answer depending on who I'm talking to. Because otherwise, if I just like start listing out like the 10 things I do, people
Yeah.
are like, whoa, okay, I'm a little confused, and like it doesn't really pertain to them, and
Yeah.
the communication is just like,
A confused mind says no, right?
Yeah.
So it's whatever hat you need to wear for that like interaction is the hat that you wear.
yeah, I have had to learn that the hard way. Because like in the beginning, I just like listed everything, and they're like, wow, you do so much, and now they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the variety of conversation that gets brought up when you do many different things because it forces you to be credible. Because if you're going to talk about this one subject, you better be good at it or you're in it. But then if you're doing this and this and this, and then there's some sort of like public accountability by putting out the podcast right now, right? It's like, cool, let me suss her out. Let me suss him out.
Yeah.
Does he actually know what he's talking about? Then they
Yeah.
go through your LinkedIn or your IG or your Facebook and you're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, this guy's actually like working really, really hard, or
Yeah.
she's working really, really hard.
Yeah.
Let me support her because I care about her vibe, her product, or I just want to support because
Yeah.
I don't have a knife guy or I don't have a Pampas gal.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's true. And like Edmonton's a small community, like where I think, I don't know, maybe you have more experience in other cities. I don't have a lot of business like interactions in other cities, but I find that my experience in Edmonton, like people are very supportive, like very kind. Just if you offer something that's valuable, like people want to work with you and they want to help you grow your business as much as we can help them grow their business.
I mean, I would challenge you in terms of unlimited creative potential. List a place that you love traveling to in Canada.
I do love Vancouver,
Cool.
but traveling to, I don't know if I would like to live there, but
Sure,
travel.
you want to travel to Vancouver? So, now that we know that you enjoy Vancouver, how do you start building a business out there? And that's the creative, like the unlimited creative potential. So for me, I go out to Vancouver quite often now, and now I'm trying to build a book of business, but I'm doing it in the most like lucrative, like inclusive or exclusive way possible because I don't know what I don't know unless I start putting effort and energy and focus into there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing stopping you from calling all the Pampas galettes, all right, in Vancouver and be like, yo, let's do a ABBC like collab, okay?
Yeah.
Alberta, British Columbia collab.
I love it.
Whatever that means to you, right?
So I guess that's really cool. So like going into Vancouver now, then if you're expanding your territory, how do you go about that? I know we talked a lot about like going in with a collaborative mindset rather than a competitive mindset, right? What is your goal whenever you go to Vancouver?
Yeah, I've always believed in this statement, and I still do it to this day. My goal is to walk into your life. and you can't get away from me.
That's
it.
And this is why he's in my life.
Yeah. And that's really it. Like, if you have the intention of succeeding, that means all ego, all self-consciousness, whether you have to peacock and have a brave face, right? All goes out the window, and you just walk into people's life that already have what you want to attain.
Yeah.
So if there's a business that you want to like collaborate with or do business with, you got to walk into their life.
Yeah.
But then the moment you walk into their life, you better execute. You better like walk the walk.
Yeah.
As much as you talk the talk.
So do you already walk into their lives with an idea of like what you're trying to complete or accomplish? Yeah.
So there's a wonderful brokerage in Vancouver with a really cool real estate team. Sometimes you got to put 2 and 2 together. So I did the commercial property, and then they have a podcast about commercial real estate and residential real estate. So as a big thank you, because all I did was listen to their podcast for like, oh my gosh, 6 months straight now, was thank them. But I also bought them some Cutco knives and engraved their name, number, and logo on it and sent it out. And thanking them for providing value to me, not the other way around, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, holy smokes, this, like, who's this kid?
Yeah.
Right? Then they called me. We had a great interaction over the telephone. Like, that put me right to the front of the line.
Yeah.
That's it.
God.
Have I done business with them right now? No. Yet? Soon to be. Like, and that's the way I want to do business. It's like, what is the most unique and creative way to get ahead?
Yeah.
Is it to write a book?
Yeah.
Because people don't need to read the book, but the people that know that you have a book, it's the most expensive business card you'll ever make, okay?
Yeah.
So that to me is very fun.
Yeah.
Are you giving things away? But if you do give it away, is it strategic gifting?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing strategic gifting, which is the industry I'm in, I mean, the blanket statement, I sell knives. But the reality is I do strategic gifting to allow other people to strategically gift as well.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah,
I got to practice what I preach.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, no, at the end of the day, you're trying to find creative ways to stand out and to be memorable at the end of the day with these people. Yeah, being memorable can take so many shapes and forms. You can give a gift. You can do an act of service. I mean, read the 5 love languages and you'll be unforgettable. I don't know how many clients you want to physically touch, but you could also be very unforgettable if you do that one. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty good amount of people out there who only use physical touch to get ahead. Hey, props to them. Not my method, but but yeah, I guess. Do you have any other things to add about competition? Love on your competitors, and if you can't beat them, join them. If you just love what you do, and people are already doing it before you, just go learn from them. Whether you work for them, pay to get coaching from them, or you just visit them every day and like watch from afar. The best way to approach your competitions, it's so cliche, I'm going to say this, but it's just through love, admiration, and just really watching what they're doing and what they're doing well and what they are lacking. Because if you know what they're lacking, you can recognize what they're doing really, really well. Then what's wrong with you teaching them something that they don't already know or don't know? Yeah. Because if you're a decade or 2 decades better than your competition, and a young guy comes in and is like, hey, here's something that's wrong with your business. Okay, go do it. Go run it. Mm-hmm. Or if that person like shuts you down, you could be petty and be like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start the same thing and apply my idea. If you're going to steal from the best, steal it with pride. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. If they're doing a great business model, take that business model and tweak it and make it better. Yeah. And then do you know what they'll do? They'll steal back their business model, tweak it and make it better. And then it's this awesome like back and forth between companies that just want to make it and get a piece of the pie. Yeah. But then again, I guess isn't that a political aspect though? Because then you have to play that political game. Sure. People like they'll probably hate you. What if they try to like sabotage you and all that stuff while you're trying to steal their idea and they're trying to sabotage you? Yeah. Depends. I feel like people that are in a negative mindset, I'm going to put a blanket statement on it. If they're already a negative person, they'll expose themselves sooner or later. It's one of those things where if they're going to tell 100 of their friends and family to write a negative review on you, sure, that's coming from a place of scarcity, right? And if that's,
I mean, I love Gary Vaynerchuk. If they're focusing negativity on you, then you're doing something right because they're not focusing on themselves and on their business.
Yeah.
Meaning you're doing something right, and you just have to deal with like the speed bumps.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because I think, what I was saying before we actually started filming this was that the more that you focus on the collaboration and the partnerships, the more that I know I'm creating a competitive advantage because my competitors might not be building out these relationships. And these relationships are unique. Yeah. They're one of a kind, right? So
you just need a slight edge to get ahead. Just a slight one. If it's just being nice, oh man, you'll win.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
Be strategic. Be very thoughtful. Understand your market share. Be educated. But just be nice. Be kind.
Yeah.
And then you'll get ahead.
Yeah.
So that way, I mean, you should understand everything in every way, shape, and form if you have to. But if you don't know, just ask for help.
Yeah.
That's it. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because they think they could do it themselves and then they don't do anything because
Yeah.
they don't know where to start.
Yeah. I mean, I need a constant reminder when I feel burnt out and someone around me will be like, are you delegating? Are you asking for help? And then that's when I'm like, oh yeah, shoot.
Yeah.
Could have been doing that the whole time.
Ask
and then
for help.
and then you execute the next day to like ask for help. So
It's fun.
Sometimes I need a reminder. So
I'm reminding you to ask for help.
Yes.
There. Done.
Well, thank you so much, Wilson.
You're most welcome.
Joining us on this podcast.
Yeah.
This was very valuable. Like I feel like I know you pretty like whenever we talk, like we always talk a lot too, but I feel like even just being on this podcast, like I've learned even more about you. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me.
Hopefully you'll be back sometime
Well,
soon.
as long as I get the invite back.
Well, when you do come back, you're gonna probably be on so many different new projects. So I'm excited to see like where you'll be like when you do come back.
It's good. I feel like, I guess my last statement is if you have friends that are in business and you don't talk to them, it's a good thing. And the reason why I say that in the most loving and open way is if they come back to you with the same story, then nothing's changed. What do you talk about? You talk about the same things. You talk about the past and the present, but you don't talk about the progression. For me, it's just something that I noticed about myself is that I enjoy talking to people with progression in the forefront of their mind or the way that they talk. It's like, I'm working on this. I'm about to do this. These are the things I'm wanting to accomplish.
Yeah.
Versus, remember back when, or like, hey, last week I don't like that. I want the progress. And that's just my own, like, just nitpicking on that conversation.
Yeah.
And you can suss a lot of people out once you start talking to a lot of people with progress in their speech. Those guys are way more fun to talk to.
Yes, I agree.
Like, cool, I'm going to go do this MCing gig, then I'm going to go to Mexico, and then I'm going to go do this. And then you play it out, and then we talk about that.
Yes. So we're like, how is it? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you got to go to Vancouver. How is it?
And then we talk about what's coming up next
Yeah.
and what's next. And that's how you build a very fruitful relationship is by talking about what's next and not what's before.
Yeah.
So
I will definitely keep that in mind. I really like that. Because I think I'm still trying to figure out the balance between hanging out with the friends that I grew up and then versus hanging out with my business friends. Like right now I find so much value in hanging with my business friends because we are talking about the progress and what's next and what's new. But yeah, I'm trying to find that balance. I haven't been able to fully embrace that mindset yet, but I also don't want to leave my friends behind, like the friends that I grew up with.
Sure.
So it's one of those things.
I get it. I mean, that's that's a touchy subject sometimes for some people. That's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. Have you outgrown your friends? Oh, triggered.
Yeah.
Everyone's triggered. Oh, she thinks I'm better than you.
That would be such a good topic, actually. But
have you outgrown your friends?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, that would be like a toughie, but like also.
It's valid.
Yeah.
It's valid. I mean, I've outgrown my friends. I'm not going to say who, right? Because I'm not better than them. It's just the topics of conversation that we engage in now are not progressive. It doesn't add value.
Yeah.
If it's the sake of catching up, I can just look at your Instagram.
Yeah.
And cool, you're doing this, this, and this. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's the people it's another C word, curiosity, right? If you can spark curiosity from somebody at a pretty high level thinking or low level thinking, it doesn't matter what your thinking is, but if you can invoke a curious response from people, those are the people that you want to talk to.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If you're curious about someone's life, then they're doing something right too. It's like, oh man, how are they doing this? Or like, what are they doing? And that's what makes life fun.
Yeah.
Not talking about the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you're like, oh my God, I gotta leave this group of friends.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I always love catching up with you. I'm like always I know Wilson's onto another thing a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now.
It's fun. Should we magically make Orlandice appear right now?
Yes.
Okay, in 3,
2, 1. Yeah. So goals for last episode. So the last episode, I wanted to take some more time for myself and just to like focus more on self-care.
Get Galee back.
Get Galee back, my identity, because I feel like I lost her a little bit. But I did, because it was my birthday week. So I went to Modern Gravity and did a float tank session, which was amazing. It's like one of my favorite places. It mimics like a 2-week vacation, like completely being isolated in a space. And then I also got a massage yesterday, and it was painful. I didn't know how much knots I had in my back. Like I was expecting it to be like peaceful. No, it was a very painful massage, but it was good. Like, so.
How's your neck?
I feel looser. This morning I woke up and like it was a little. I feel bruised. Like my back feels bruised, but.
And carry your stress in your back. And
it's in my shoulders, all in my shoulders. Yeah, so it feels better. I think my massage therapist, she probably thought I was like a little psycho because she was really quiet. She just like looked and she's like cramming her elbow into my shoulder as I'm wincing, but it was
And I saw that you went to the gym.
I did go to the gym. Yeah, really working on that self-care as much as I can. How about you?
So my focus was to train and run. So, I haven't. It's just because we have a few deadlines, and I'm really trying to push out, some construction drawings, and I think once I push this out, I have 2 days to push them all out, and then I do have a team that's coming back, which it's kind of cool. I will take that time to crush 5K again, and that would help pump out again me being focused and the creativity and get rid of that block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about yours?
Nice. Yeah. Have you had a goal this week that you've accomplished?
Oh my goodness. I'm very grateful. I'm emceeing. I got a call last night. My friend's like, hey, we're going to get married on July the 8th. Can you MC our wedding? I'm like, yes.
Oh.
Also, I got to MC my other friend's birthday in Vancouver on the 9th.
Ooh.
And then I'm emceeing another, wedding in August. So I have 3 MC gigs coming up.
Wow.
Is that a goal? I'm just stating things. What am I doing?
I feel like this is a new chapter of business in your life.
I would like to be a good orator and just pay me to talk.
The next thing you'll be like talking for royalty, the queen or something.
Yeah, goal-wise, there's a sales goal that I want to achieve by the end of April. So at least in the Cutco world, it's segmented in 3s. So you have January to April, then you got your May to end of August, and September to December. So overall, I had my best year ever last year. So the overall goal is to hit over I'll give a number. It's subjective, but it's over $275,000 in sales.
Nice.
So.
Nice.
Gotta hit it.
Nice.
We're gonna send those vibes over you.
Yeah.
I don't need vibes. I need credit cards.
So if you guys need knives, go to Wilson.
You need knives and coffee? Hit me up.
So moving forward, next week, what is the new goals?
For next week, my goal right now for my business is to fully onboard myself onto my sales channel. So I'm going on to Walmart, the Bay, and Amazon. So those 3, I just need to fully ham out because it'll just build sustainability in the back end of my business, so I can focus on the creative aspect of my business. So hopefully by next week, I will have those completed.
Oh, amazing. I think moving forward, again, I want to start pumping out designs. Next week I want to be able to talk about one, just pump that out, and a 5K run.
Oh, yes.
You do
Yeah,
have
do
here
it.
next week.
No, I'm just training.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
but I just want to be able to, if I can run that 5K, I'll be able to pump that design out.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
How about yours?
Short
I'm not
term.
gonna be here next week. So.
But we're
No,
gonna
but I think it's cool to like, you know, at least like
Yeah.
share your mindset. So like, do you have a short term goal that you're trying to accomplish next week? That's achievable next week.
Pretty much just trying to land some extra clients for the end of March. Our closeout date is the Monday, so
Nice.
just crush sales. I'm boring this week. Nothing fancy, just
Oh.
get more sales.
Nice. We all need sales.
Right.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was such a fun episode.
Well, I hope I can set your standard of fun guests.
Oh,
So hopefully you'll have me back.
and great knowledge. Like I could take away too from the knowledge that you've given.
Next week's episode is on behind the design. So we're gonna touch on a little bit more design. I feel like the last few episodes has been about like business and kind of getting to know us on a more personal level. Now we want to talk more about like our industries and like the
Yes.
design. So
We're gonna get fun next week. No, I guess
we've been fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the last episodes were been really real and deep, and you really got to know us. But now it's to see, like, you guys get to see, and we get to talk about our like true passion, which is like design, decor, Pampas gal, interiors on point,
The
like
creative side of our brain.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm really pumped.
I'm excited to tune in. I hope y'all tune in too.
Yes, tune into next week.
So, thanks for hanging out with us.
And let us know if you have any golden nuggets. Send us a comment on YouTube or comment on social media. If you're
Subscribe.
Bye. Is that
yeah,
it?
we can do bye.